I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your approach there in terms of, what did you want the close for each of the three leads to say about them and to tell us about them?
Well, like Barbara said, it always starts with the script. And Quentin's script is like no other script I've ever read, just in terms of the attention to detail and how richly layered these characters were. And, this is my first time working with Quentin, unlike these guys down here. But one of the things that I admire so much about his work is he has created his own visual language that's very stylish. And this, I feel, is his most reportage feeling film. And yet I wanted to, you read, like when reading the script, there's certain things that were mentioned in the script that are part of the Tarantino kind of vernacular, like the Hawaiian shirt and Rick wearing the leather jacket. But the great thing about working with him is it was such a discovery in terms of we didn't know really what the Hawaiian shirt would look like, that what the color was, and it started with the script and the way that these characters are so beautifully detailed on page. And then really it was just a matter of lots of discovery and, and the juxtaposing Cliff and Rick as the support guy and this 50s, 60s cowboy actors found himself kind of almost redundant in 1969. And then, of course, Sharon. So it was so interesting working on a script where you have two fictional characters in the center of real life events and real people. So it was the juiciest project for me, for a costume designer. It was just so fantastic.
Mark, what's your process on the next couple readings in terms of what sorts of things are you thinking about? What are you thinking ahead to in terms of problems you might have on a movie like this on location?
With Quentin, I try not to use the word problem. I always look at it as opportunity. Because he is it's all about character, their development, and believing in those characters for the audience. So character takes us to the journey the character's on and the environment the character is having that journey in. And through that, his I would say dedication to performance enables a really great collaboration on the set. If anything is threatening performance or breaks connection with character on the set, then we're in a totally partnering situation. So for me, that first read of the script as a journey myself, so I can be inside the mind of the movie and not be in any sort of technical concerns, gets followed up by an intense combing through in the second and third reads for things that are questions. What options can we bring here? I try not to bring an ideology to it because even though we work together on a repeated basis, every project's different. And it's really important not to come with some predetermined idea, and with Quentin especially, because he will throw curveballs at you every turn, but they're the kinds of curveballs that really bring you up to your better place. They're come with me, and so that's what I bring to here. And because there's such a community of people around Quentin that have been there, like Fred and who joined the family, some of us have been working and making movies together for 25, 30, 40 years. And so when you get it's like a jazz band. There's just this joy, and Quentin it's old school that he has this repertoire company behind him, and it frees him up to be in focus with his actors and with his scenes, and knows that he's got that support around him. So it's a privilege.
I just want to sing Mark's praises for a moment, because one thing that he's not going to say himself, but that I'll say is that Quentin doesn't do ADR. Mm-hmm. So when he decides to shoot a scene between Brad Pitt and Margaret Qualley, in a car driving down the freeway with the windows open, Mark has to figure out a way to get a good recording of that. Yeah. And I don't know how he did it. And certainly our post-production sound team helped, but there was no ADR.
Again, it's not about the sound. It's about connection to the characters. And so that's really about proportion, balance, not too much, not too little. Are we connected to them as characters? Will the audience believe And once you have that as your threshold versus some theoretical thing, then you have you've got a roadmap, and if we break into that, that's a conversation cue where there's I'm concerned here we might be losing connection. And he listens to that. He because it's where he lives, and he invites us to join him there, and that's fantastic.
The issue of character and performance leads me to a question for Fred, which is how you see your role in terms of sort of showcasing the best that the actors bring to the movie. I mean, I've as I understand it, Tarantino doesn't shoot a lot of coverage or multiple cameras or any of that kind of stuff. But it seems to me from watching the movie like he allows his actors to be very playful. And I'm wondering if you get a lot of variations on things and how you calibrate that and what you see your part as in terms of cutting performance.
I mean, he definitely doesn't shoot multiple cameras. He shoots the coverage that he wants. So the action will have more coverage than a dialogue scene. But you have this amazing cast, and they're actually pretty dialed in by the time they get to the set. There's really no improv unless Quentin has specifically designed a scene to be improvisatory. Like the scene where Rick has his freak out in the trailer after he blows his lines on set. That was Quentin kind of saying to Leo, I want you to hit these specific beats, but I'm not going to give you the dialogue. I just kind of want you to do it. And he shot it from the same angle, 4 takes. And then it was kind of up to me and then Quentin to kind of put it together in the editing room and find what beats we wanted. But with this cast, I mean, there's not a false beat in there. So it was really just finding what angles do we want to be on to bring out the emotion as much as possible.
I have to ask you, Barbara, really quickly about the Hollywood Boulevard makeover because I live off Hollywood Boulevard, and I woke up one day and walked my dog, and suddenly it had turned into 1969 overnight. And I'm curious how logistically you did that. I mean, what goes into how many months of work go into that kind of quote unquote instant transformation?
I wish it was that instant that it was overnight, but
No CGI.
no CGI. No, that was Hollywood Boulevard was tough, and it was also pretty amazing that the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce and the city councils said yes to what we were doing, and that again I give. Besides Rick Schuler, our location manager, I give big credit to Quentin because he went down to that meeting and looked at them and said, I'm passionate about Hollywood. I'm passionate about showing it back. This is, to me, where all of my brain came from. And they gave us it in 2 sections. They said, you can't do all that you want to do in one shoot. So we took 2 blocks, both sides, which is 4 blocks, by Musso's first. And then months later, we could shoot the other side. So we actually split it up because we already had the worst traffic jam ever. We would have had the worst traffic jam in the entire city ever if we had taken the whole thing. So, and that transformation was working very heavily. Locations again, I can't even believe how many people they had to have to go to each individual storefront, all the people who own everything on that block, get the permissions. In the meantime, we designed everything and tried to build as much as we could off-site, and then worked out almost like an army of engineers how construction would go in first with cranes, put facades back on the movie, and then paint after that, and then working in stages. And then my decorator, Nancy Haig, who had her entire battalion, were the last layer to go in, and they only had really 2 short days to actually tear out everything inside of stores on our facades and dress the entire thing. And electricians working on top. I mean, it was and we could never not have tourists. That one thing they says is we have to be able to have, it's the most heavily toured street I've ever seen in LA. And I'm from LA, and I had no idea that tourists were there 24 hours a day. So you had a battery of people helping the tourists not run into all of our stuff as they tried to take selfies of things and then smash into the... so we stopped no tourism. They got to be there with us building and watch it, which actually was pretty fun for them.
I want to thank you all for coming out and talking with us about it. It's a great movie. Thanks, guys.